All right, Mob, welcome back to the Cream of the Crop 4th and 31 podcast, your one stop shop for all things college and SEC football. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a minute. I'm your host, part of the Killer Bees broadcasting team, the Chad Bullock, and tonight from an undisclosed location, Scott the producer and the man, the myth, and the legend, Coach Bo. All right, Mob, so it is the best time of year. We've got the Elite Eight coming on tomorrow. We will start chronologically, as that's the most sensible thing to do. We will start with the Miami, Ohio State, and the Cotton Bowl tomorrow night. Bo, what you got on this one?
Um, you know, it's amazing to me when you listen to the people in the media and you watch the television. I've tried to limit my watching and listening to all the pundits and all the talking heads and all their clickbait and all the stuff they put out. But it is just amazing to me how just flat out disrespectful people are acting towards Miami. Miami, their defensive lines and offensive lines or scrimmage are better than what Texas A&M had. Are better than what Texas A&M had, and they're probably at least as good, if not better, than what Ohio State has. And I rewatched the Indiana Ohio State game, and just kind of watching it just as through a coach's eyes, kind of slowing some things down. The two offensive tackles at Ohio State, there's where they can lose that football game because those two tackles are shaky at best. They got abused for stretches in that game against Indiana. They don't handle edge pressure well, but a lot of teams don't. A lot of teams don't. That's why a lot of defensive coordinators send edge pressure because it's basically an unaccounted for defender. Because when you go in, you set basically everything off. You're setting everything off your mic. You identify your mic. You set it off when you get into these more complicated blocking schemes like they're using in college. So they're setting everything off the mic, and the edge is coming from outside the box. So a lot of times it's unaccounted for. It's hard to account for that edge pressure. But just straight up rushing defensive ends, Indiana had their way with the two tackles. And what Miami has is far better. And I'm going to tell you this. My one concern for Miami is not even really Carson Beck. Because he's played on the big stage. He's played in big games at Georgia. It's not even that. It's being able to put points on the board. And that's not even an indictment of him. But if they can stay within striking distance and continue to harass Sayan and dominate the line of scrimmage, Miami's live to win that game. I look at these eight teams left. I can make a case for all eight to win the national championship because I think they're all eight that good. But especially if Miami can put four hands in the ground and control the front and they can cover with seven, Ohio State could be in for a long day because I think that's where Ohio State can get Miami is on the perimeter. But if Miami doesn't have to bring all the edge pressure, they don't have to commit the extra man to the box, then it could be a long day for the Buckeyes. But I'm on record. I am taking Miami simply for the disrespect and the flat out that everybody has already anointed Ohio State as the greatest team ever. And they don't even need to show up. They've already won the game, and then they're going to beat Georgia or Ole Miss next week, and they're going to play in the championship game, and there's nothing anybody can do. So I am going to go ahead and go out on that limb and take Miami.
Wow. And I really want to take Miami because I would love for Miami to win this game. This is their, what is this, the 23rd year anniversary of the revenge game that they'd like to talk about in the Fiesta Bowl back in 2002 when Ohio State got the late pass interference call that was pure garbage. Scott, you're in the upside down right now, it looks like. What you got?
Well,
You
uh,
there?
I agree with everything Bo said, and you. I think everybody's already put Indiana and Ohio State in the championship game. Why even bother playing these games, right? Uh, Turn the TV on, and that's where everybody's got them. I couldn't disagree more. I do think that one of them is going to lose this week. Uh, am I sure which one? No, not really.
Ooh, that McDonald's
Still kind of
Wi-Fi's acting up.
Well, one thing I will say about this game between Ohio State and Miami, I do think that Miami's lines of scrimmage are where they can most certainly win this game. I mean, I'm not trying to slight Ohio State. I think that Ohio State will probably find a way to win this game because I think they have more options, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But again, I'm just kind of bucking the trend here. I mean, just everybody has picked Ohio State, and just in my opinion, Miami is more than capable of winning this game. Ohio State is in a situation. I think that I think that Ohio State. I think one of the overlooked things too is Brian Hartline has already taken the job at South Florida. He has already taken the job, and he has already been relieved of his play calling duties for this game. So Ryan Day's going to go back and call plays again, and I don't know how that will affect the flow of the game. I don't know. I don't know. It's just speaking objectively from somebody that's outside and just watches Ohio State games. I don't think that they get their receivers involved enough. I know they want to run the ball. I know they want to run it downhill. I know they want to run it with power. You have to in the Big Ten. It's a different style of football, and a lot of that has to do with weather. Once you get to the end of September, early October, in the Big Ten, if you can't run the football and run the football downhill, it can be really challenging to try to be able to put points up in the Big Ten. But I think there are too many times where Ohio State forgets who they have outside. And there's too many times where they forget that they got guys that can change the game real fast. And I'm just wondering how that dynamic will play off if Ryan Day will open it up more and they will throw the ball more. Because conventional wisdom has told us since the end of the Big Ten championship game. Well, last year Ohio State lost at the end of the season, and then they went on to win a national championship. So obviously, it's going to happen again. I mean, they're just going to go, and then they're going to flip the switch, and they're going to win this game, and there's nothing that anybody can do about it. Well, that was last year's team with different coordinators, different sets of players, different quarterback. So I'll be interested to see how all that plays, Chad.
All right. Well, guess who's back? Back again. The Chad's back. Tell a friend. All right. So I guess you've been talking about Ohio State this whole time. I want to go ahead and give my official prediction. As much as I want Miami to win, I'll give Ohio State 20-13. I hope it's a reverse jinx for Ohio State because I would love for Miami to win this game. So we'll leave it at that. All right, let's go on to the morning game. Thursday morning, you got Oregon, Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl. 11 a.m. kickoff, which, back when we were kids, it kind of came on at like 7. It was like the 7:30 night game between Florida State and Nebraska. But this Oregon-Texas Tech game could be fun because you're going to have an interesting chess match with Dan Lanning's offense and Texas Tech's defense. Bo, what you got?
Yeah, my biggest thing with this game is because the only stat profile we have on Texas Tech is a Big 12 resume. They didn't really play. I don't think they played any other Power 4 teams outside of the Big 12. And the best teams they played that were Utah, Arizona State, which they lost. Now I'll give them a pass on that one because they were on the road and playing with their backup quarterback. And even at that, I mean, it came down to the last possession. And then of course they beat BYU twice. And again, while I'm on record, I don't put much stock into bowl games. I really don't care what happens in bowl games. We saw BYU in a absolute tooth and nail dogfight with Georgia Tech, and I'm looking at that game just like player for player. I don't really care who wins, but I'm just watching the game and I'm going, well, goodness gracious, Oregon has better players than Georgia Tech, and how does all the puzzle pieces fit together? But I got to tell you, I really like Oregon in this game. I just don't know. I don't know enough about Texas Tech to sit there and tell you with certainty, yes, they can do this, yes, they can do that, because I'm not gonna be one of those guys that says, oh, they hadn't played anybody. Of course, they've played some decent teams, and they have shellacked some decent teams. They've also had problems in the red zone against some teams, mainly BYU. The first time they played, and where they left a lot out on the field, and I just think that in order for them to win this game, they're going to need Dante Moore to make a few mistakes. They're going to need to capitalize. Now, I can see a path where if they can shut down the run and put it all on Dante Moore and force him into some bad throws, because I tell you, he threw 2 absolutely egregious interceptions in that James Madison game. I was like, that is horrible. And then he comes over to the sideline, throws his helmet, and sits down and starts pouting. And I was like, that's it right there. If Texas Tech can somehow stack up against the run, try to force Oregon to be one-dimensional, make Dante Moore make a few mistakes, and capitalize, I think that's their path. But I think Oregon's too good overall. I love Joey McGuire. We've talked about him on the show. Coaching high school football just a few years ago. Dan Lanning coached at Bama. Got to respect that. But give me Oregon, and give me Oregon. Well, I think the line's only like 2, but give me Oregon and Oregon to cover. And by the way, the Ohio State game, obviously I'm taking Miami with a money line sprinkle. So.
Oh, a little pizza money in that game.
And we're taking the under in that one as well. I think that's a 20-17 game, something like that, maybe 23-20. I think that's going to be a very tight game. The irony of that is it's the biggest spread in the 4 quarterfinal games, but I think it could end up being the tightest.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think Oregon's been there, done that before. Texas Tech, this is kind of uncharted territory for them in a way. Oregon has kind of got that win a couple of games in the playoff pedigree, so I'll go with Oregon too. Scott, what you got on the Orange Bowl, Texas Tech, Oregon?
Just in case I cut out again, I'm taking Texas Tech. I like the underdog in this one. I really do.
Okay.
I'm going against the grain with you guys, but I definitely like Texas Tech in this game. I think they're solid, and I think I think they're more than capable of beating Oregon. It's gonna be a good game, man. I'm excited about that game. I like that game a lot. I'm gonna enjoy watching it for sure.
Yeah. So
And
that game
and
will be
just,
on at 11, so we can't stay up drinking all night. You're gonna
no.
have to drink
Hey,
responsibly, get up at a decent hour, get your pregame going.
Right.
hey, I'm way past doing anything irresponsible. Unfortunately, it was a lot more fun when I was that age to do irresponsible things. But what one thing I do want to say is when I'm making these picks is just I'm looking just kind of how I think these matchups play out. But the reality is I firmly believe that any of these 8 teams has a path to win the national championship. Now, I think some have a better, clearer path than others. But like last year, last year's playoffs were so weak. I mean, we talked about. I mean, Boise had a bye for Christ's sake, and then the championship game, you had 2 quarterbacks drafted in like the 5th, 6th, 7th round, something like that. This year, however, I mean Trinidad Chambliss, if that's not a first round quarterback, I don't know, and I don't even know his team's good enough to beat Georgia. Gunnar Stockton's probably the most improved player in the entire country from what we saw from the end of last year. And Dante Moore, many people think he's the best quarterback in the country, and he should go first overall, even above Fernando Mendoza, who won the Heisman Trophy. Okay, so the quarterback play in this is what I'm so excited about, and all 4 of these games ought to be excellent football games.
Yeah. And now we'll go to the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. Kicks off at 2:30, 3:30, depending on what time zone you're in. You got Alabama, who has absolutely no chance of being here. Shouldn't even made the playoffs. Got lucky to even beat Oklahoma. I don't even know how they beat Oklahoma. Oklahoma must be god awful if they let Alabama beat them. Scott, what you got on this one? Yeah, go ahead. Just in case you cut out. Did you freeze out? I think he was going to pick Indiana again. And you know what? Since it worked last time, Scott, I don't know if you can hear us. I'll give you a glimmer of hope to why Alabama may win. All right, let's take a look at the 2 quarterbacks, Ty Simpson, Fernando Mendoza. Seems like night and day. Mendoza is 1,000 times better than Simpson. That's what everybody thinks. Oh yeah, let's go to how they played against currently ranked top 25 teams. Ty Simpson, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Fernando Mendoza, 670 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. I'm not saying Alabama's going to win, but I don't think this is like a David and Goliath as people want to say it is. Alabama's got a chance, and I'll say it like I did before they played Oklahoma. I'll never pick against my team. I'll pull for Alabama. I don't do scores because it's a jinx. But, Bo, what you got?
Yeah. First off, let me start by talking about Alabama, or let me say something about Indiana. Understand you're witnessing history with Indiana, whether they win this game or not. You have witnessed the greatest 2-year turnaround in the history of college football, period. And they've earned it. They have earned it. You can talk about schedules and strength of schedules, this, that, or the other. This year especially. Now last year, they were they looked like kind of a flash in the pan, like it was cute. They beat a bunch of bad teams. They played 2 good teams. They got absolutely hammered. But this year, they're much better. Okay, they're especially on the lines of scrimmage. Both lines of scrimmage are much better than they were last year. So we're witnessing history regardless of what happens. But as far as Alabama goes, a lot of people have, and I even heard one guy say that Alabama's losing this game. As an Indiana guy, said Alabama's losing this game. They have no chance, and Alabama's the old school, and the old school's done. And Alabama's methodology of doing things is done, and now Indiana runs college football, and the way Indiana's doing things is the way that modern college football is played. And while I know all Indiana fans don't reflect that, because I've seen some really good stuff online too. I think that's getting a little ahead of yourself. And what I mean by that is we saw Clemson blow out Alabama in a national championship game. Alabama proceeded to win another title 2 years later. Clemson now is going. They were 6-6 in the Pinstripe Bowl, and had 30 players sit out. I mean, it really looks like it's about to come to the end for Dabo. But my point is, guys, is I know that's not a reflection of all Indiana people. I understand that there are some out there that are a little overzealous. I get it. But going to Alabama, I look at this team as a lot of people are saying, well, if Alabama loses this game and they're guaranteed to, they shouldn't even flew out there. They shouldn't even have flown out there and taken the time, because they're just wasting everybody's time. It's a guaranteed loss. But guaranteed. But I look at this is just the beginning of the Kalen DeBoer era. What Nick Saban did is done. And I love the way that Alabama did it. They didn't try to promote from within and to try to keep the Saban thing going. Michigan tried to do that with Harbaugh. Okay, and that blew up spectacularly. And there have been other programs where they said, okay, let's USC try to do it with Pete Carroll. Remember, they promoted Lane, they got Sark, and those guys were not ready for those positions. So Bama just ripped the Band-Aid off and said, nope, we're done with that. Thank you, Coach Saban. We're starting a whole brand new brand at Alabama. And I firmly believe this is just the beginning for Alabama. Regardless of what happens in this football game, if Alabama loses, everybody's going to be writing their obituary. But I'm telling you, the method that Alabama has right now, the infrastructure they have, the general manager they have, Courtney Morgan, everything that they've put in place, they just put in place last year. Okay, Alabama's one of the top schools in NIL, and regardless of whether Alabama wins or loses this game, this is, to me, this is where Kalen DeBoer, this is really year one for me, because year two was a boggled up mess, and this is the first year getting away from that and getting his recruiting class and his guys onto the field. And the way that Alabama's recruiting, the infrastructure they have, the money they have in place, the general manager they have in place, guys, they're not going anywhere. And there's other teams in the SEC figuring it out too. I mean, LSU, Florida, there's some teams that are about to get on the come up real fast. So, of course, I'm going to pick Alabama. I think I can make an argument, obviously, for both teams to win this football game. But for me, I just want to see a hard fought football game, a mistake free football game, a game in which Alabama plays its A game. And if Alabama plays its A game and Indiana plays its A game, Alabama's going to win. Point blank. They have better players, top to bottom. If Alabama plays their B minus game and Indiana plays their A plus game, Indiana's probably going to win. Okay? But I'm still taking Alabama. Roll Tide. I'll never pick against Alabama, even though I think I did take Oklahoma, but that was a psychological thing. Kalen was listening to me. He knew it. We're right here. We're mind melting. Okay? So give me Alabama and Roll Tide.
All right, we're going to back up just a little bit because I think, Scott, you picked Indiana, right? All right, since you're Miss Debbie Downer on Alabama, I was going to give you just a glimmer of hope like we did last time, and I'm going to replay these stats. I know, and I'm trying to do my part. But I still have to do my part of it. I have to do my part for you. So give you a glimmer of hope, just like we did against Oklahoma. Real quick, currently ranked top 25 teams. Ty Simpson, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 picks. Fernando Mendoza, 670 yards, 4 TDs, 3 picks. So there's your glimmer of hope. I have to do my part. You did yours. It's got to be both ways, Scott.
And hey, one last thing about this is I haven't heard a single person, not a single person anywhere, talk about the difference in the styles, because different styles create fights, and it's about who can win that fight and who can oppose their will. So Indiana, they want to get the ball, they want to run the ball, they want to run downhill, they want the power run game and throw on their terms. Alabama wants to spread you out and pitch it around all over the place. So the question is which one can win out and which can impose their will on the other.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to the night game, the Sugar Bowl. We get a rematch there, Ole Miss and Georgia. Y'all know how I feel about rematches. It doesn't usually go well for the team who won first. I think, if Ole Miss plays a complete game, they're going to win this time. I don't know who I'm ready to pick. Scott, before you go drifting back into the upside down, what do you got? What you got?
I think of the 4 quarterfinal games, I think this one has the best chance to get out of hand. And I know the two teams, like you're saying, Chad, the two teams have already played before. You don't like rematches. Georgia's playing on another level as opposed to the way they played the first time these two teams played. Um, I can't envision a world in college football where Kirby Smart 2 years in a row his team falls flat after a bye like that. I just cannot. I think Georgia is gonna come in, and I think Georgia. I mean, I'm not saying this game's gonna be like 55-10, but I think this game. I just believe that Georgia has the best chance to go in, take control of this game early, and really put the clamp on Ole Miss. And as much as I like Chambliss, and as much as I think that he'll be a very good NFL quarterback because he's very accurate throwing the football. He throws a nice ball. He throws a nice catchable ball. He really does. His accuracy is good. His ball placement's good. But when it comes down to it, I'm going to take Georgia in the physicality because I think they're going to be able to get stops. I don't think Ole Miss is going to be able to get enough stops. And if you go back and watch the Ole Miss and Tulane game, Tulane moved the ball pretty well. They just didn't have the horses. And I just think Gunnar Stockton eats in this game. I don't think Ole Miss can get enough stops, and then it could snowball on Ole Miss. They start to press. Give me the Bulldogs. Give me the Bulldogs to win and cover.
Oh, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news to both of you, but Georgia lost in this game last year in the Sugar Bowl. They're playing him again. Golding has one thing Kirby Smart doesn't have. That's a 12-team playoff win. That's a fact. Ole Miss has the better quarterback. That's not even debatable. Chambliss is better than Stockton. But give me Georgia to win the game. I'll go with the Dogs. I agree with everything y'all said. I think they're probably the better team. They're hungry. But I will say this. It's going to be 28-27 Georgia. I think they score a touchdown late to win it. I think it's going to be close. I don't like rematches, but I really can't pick against Georgia. So go Dogs in that one. All right, we got that taken care of. Let's check out some of these bowl games that we missed. I picked out a few of the good ones that kind of came on. Probably one of the best ones I saw was the Hawaii Bowl with Hawaii and California. Cal was up big in that game, and Hawaii. I thought I lost that game. I was like, man, how is California traveling across the Pacific and going to dominate Hawaii? Well, Hawaii came back, played a good second half. Bo, what'd you see in that game?
One of my Bo's built-in bowl rules: you never bet against or go against Hawaii when they're playing at home in the Hawaii Bowl. And what a wild second half. There was a string where Hawaii went, I think it was something like 15, 18, 20 straight passes without throwing a completion, and it went all the way back to the second quarter, and it was well into the fourth quarter before they threw an incompletion. The way that game ended, for the quarterback to have to come out, the backup comes in with like 10 seconds and just drops a dime right there by the pylon, was unbelievable. I mean, that was so good. There was so much momentum for Hawaii in that game, and even when Cal went down and scored, you're just like, Hawaii's going to score. Hawaii's going to find a way to score and win this game, and they did. So good for the Rainbow Warriors. And interestingly enough, both coaches in that game were Hawaii quarterbacks. We had the Timmy Chang, who seemingly was at Hawaii for 32 years. And then you had Rolovich. Was it Nick Rolovich? I think he was the interim head coach for that game. He was also a quarterback at Hawaii back in the day too. So pretty cool. Both guys got to go back to the homestead there and coach that game there. But great ending to that game for sure. Probably the best ending so far of any bowl game.
Yeah, I mean Hawaii was down 21-10 at half.
Oh, it was
10.
Yeah, it was 21-0 in the second quarter.
Yeah, and then Hawaii gets the touchdown pass with 10 seconds left. I mean, just a phenomenal ending to that game. I mean, I very rarely stay up that late for a bowl game, but so that game got a little bit closer, and I was like, we may have something here, so I stayed with it. I'm glad I did because that was so.
That was a really
game.
that was a really good fourth quarter. I mean, that's one of the few bowl games where both teams battled pretty hard.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite bowl game since probably Alabama scored 27 straight on the Sooners. I don't know, that's just me. All right, let's go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the one that Notre Dame didn't want to go to. BYU, they had a nice little comeback. That was a really good game, too. You know, Georgia Tech had them for a while, and BYU just said, we're not going to cry. We're not going to take our ball and go home. We're going to win a meaningful game, come out and play well. Bo, what you got on that one?
And good for BYU for doing that, and good for them for competing hard and winning that game. It was a tale of two halves. I mean, Georgia Tech could do no wrong in the first half, and BYU could do no wrong in the second half. I mean, it looked like a couple of times Georgia Tech had a chance to put the game away, and they got down deep and had some miscues, and I believe they had a field goal blocked, and they did not score a point in the second half. So that was I love when teams show up to play hard in bowl games, and both rosters were pretty much still intact. I mean, there was a player here and a player there, but it's not like we're sitting here doing this and I'm watching. I got the Tennessee Illinois game on, and Tennessee's got about 20 guys sitting out, mostly on their defense. Defensive coordinators fired. I mean, basically Illinois' offense is playing against Tennessee's backup defense. I hate seeing games like this because it's I mean, it's still football, but it's a shit. These teams end up a lot of times becoming a shell of what they are. But those two teams brought their teams in, and they both competed hard.
Yeah, and again, good for BYU for not crying about not making it, going to a bowl, and actually playing and want to compete. And then you want to complain about we'll play anybody anywhere. Well, that's a lie because you didn't want to go play in this bowl game. You know who I'm talking about. All right, let's go to another one. You were kind of saying about players not playing. The Virginia-Missouri game, where Missouri, Pribula didn't play. What you got on the Gator Bowl?
Yeah, I mean that. Again, that's another case of one of their best defensive linemen didn't play. The Pribula didn't play, and I know there's people out there. Oh, you're whining, you're making excuses. Well, flip it around. Let Pribula play and let that good D lineman play, and then take Chandler Morris out, and let's see what happens. You probably, and even at that, I mean, Virginia only had 300 yards of offense, but I mean that again, that was a snooze fest. I mean, that game was that game wasn't even fun to watch. I mean, I mean, yeah, I mean you just being from down here, we want to see the SEC teams do well and play well. But that game was so boring. It was just like I lost interest in it about halfway through the second quarter. I didn't even watch much of it.
It reminded me of a certain Alabama LSU game a few years ago that was just like, well, somebody score some freaking points. Good.
Yeah, I mean it just the backup came in from Missouri, and if you look at Missouri's season, that's where their season kind of got derailed on them when Pribula got hurt and missed those games, and then the backup Zollers had to come in, and their offense just not the same. I mean, you can have all the stars you want by your name coming out of high school, man, but when those bullets start flying, you gotta perform.
All right, let's go on to the other SEC game, the LSU Houston. That was actually a pretty good game. I thought LSU considered they played very hard. Bo, what you got on that one?
Yeah, another game. I think LSU had 12 opt-outs, including the quarterback, no head coach. Again, they're a shell of what they could be, and the fact their offense absolutely stunk the last month of the season, but that was the 10th rated SEC team against the 3rd or the 4th ranked Big 12 team, and LSU still managed to score 35, which makes me kind of I don't put a ton into these games, but I mean you just saw LSU with all their problems on offense, they went up and down the field all game. Made some mistakes, of course, but look, let's credit Willie Fritz. Everybody talks about the job at Indiana and what's happened at Indiana. Willie Fritz, I think they were a 3 or a 4 win team last year. I think that bowl game got them. Was it 10 wins, Chat? 9? at least 9. They got at least 9 wins. Willie Fritz, just in my opinion, one of the better coaches at program building. So that was their 10th win. So one of the better coaches in the country at program building. I mean, he did it at Tulane. He left Tulane in a great situation, and then he goes to Houston. He got more resources, a little bit higher profile. So good, good for Willie Fritz in Houston for going in there and playing hard. And also too for LSU to go in there, they played hard. They just, I mean, my goodness, I mean, like most of their defense sat out. I mean, like I said, backup quarterback, it just gets to a point. And then on top of that, again, you're making excuses. Nobody has any depth anymore. With NIL and the talent so spread out, I mean, you're probably forced to play some walk-ons in some situations, and it just is what it is.
All right, let's get to the Pinstripe Bowl, the not in the top 5 teams anymore bowl, the disappointment bowl, if you will. Clemson and Penn State. I did not see this coming. I did not see Penn State winning this game 22-10, an easy victory over Clemson. This was probably one of the most shocking scores I saw. Granted, both teams are pretty terrible. What you got on this one?
No, when I saw Clemson had like 30 players sitting out, I was like, no way. No way. I mean, I think they had Cade Klubnik. I think there was 2 other starters on offense, maybe 2 or 3 starters on defense. And, I mean, either players were injured or opted out. And you've never seen that with Dabo Swinney teams. Their teams, even excuse me, even when they were not playing in the big bowl games, when they were playing with the Cheez-Its Bowl or some of the lower tier bowls, they didn't have all these opt-outs. I mean, when you see all those players opt out, and that's the comment I made earlier in the show about, the walls could be closing in on Dabo, because we've never seen anything like that before. We haven't seen that many kids opt out and just leave the program like that. So when I saw that, I said, man, there could be big problems on the horizon for Dabo. But yeah, I mean, that game was a snooze fest. I mean, you take 2 teams, Penn State, I think they had a couple of guys sit out, but they've been playing with their backup quarterback all year, fired coach. I mean, you wonder why they went 6-6. I mean, but help is on the way. I like Matt Campbell going to Penn State. And then he also hired Danton Lynn from USC to come to Penn State as his defensive coordinator. So help is on the horizon there, Nittany Lions. Don't fear. You'll be right back in the mix. Just give it about 2 years.
Yeah, and then the other one, Army, the cadets, all over UConn in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. It's always good to see the academies have big bowl wins. What you got on that one?
Okay, this is Bo's rule. This is like number 1 on Bo's bowl rule list. You never, ever bet against the service academies, ever. And because they're disciplined, they view these trips as a reward, but not only as a reward, but it's a business trip. Service academies always show well in bowl games, because you don't have to worry about guys sitting out. You don't have to worry about if they're going to be focused, because they always are, and they never have anybody sit out. Rarely, maybe a guy here or there. And then UConn, the quarterback was out. This guy was out. Jim Mora left. He's gone to Colorado State. I mean, they were just set up for disaster in that game, and the cadets helped. I mean, when they started that second half, and the kid broke the run, I said, "Oh boy!" I said, "It's about the floodgates are about to open." And then, sure enough, right after that, I mean, it was an avalanche.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game. Like I said, I always like watching.
Yeah, it's
academies.
I love watching the academies and what they do. I love watching option football. When the option is run right, it is so hard to defend, because you can take lesser talent and beat better talent any day of the week. And that's the one thing that's always given the service academies an advantage, even though they have the hardest restrictions in the country to get in to the academies just to play football. But I love watching that option style of football. It's great.
Yeah, it's always fun. I like watching it. All right. I think we got a rant. We got I can't. Is it I can't stand it? You got something you can't stand today, Bo? What you got?
What I can't stand is Tennessee just ran this kickoff back for a touchdown, and they're about to take the lead. Sure did. With 5 minutes to go, they just ran it back for a touchdown. But anyway,
Now bowls mean something.
oh no, I just got it on while I'm here in the man cave. But no. If Tennessee loses this game, it's not going to hurt my feelings one bit to see Tennessee lose a game. You know me, Chad. They're numero uno on the hate list. But no, bowl games. Now, I do want to say this about bowl games, that if I'm a coach, and this is what drives me insane, is you go and you look at the list of, okay, well, these guys are opting out. These guys are in the portal. But the coach said that the portal players can play if they wanted to play, but we're still not sure if they're going to stay and play. But they may play, but they may not. And, betting aside, let's throw that out the window. You go and look at these lists, and you're just like, how are some of these teams actually supposed to field players and put decent players on the field? Like there was a couple years ago when Utah played Ohio State in the bowl game, and I think it was the Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think is who it was. He had like 300 yards receiving, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, he's the greatest receiver ever." Well, Utah had walk-ons and wide receivers playing defensive back because they had so many players that did not play in the bowl game. I'm not taking anything away from what the young man did from Ohio State, but my point is they were taking walk-ons and receivers and putting them as defensive backs because they had no more bodies to put out there. But I would say this, like being a former coach, if I'm a coach, I would say, look, if you guys want to enter the draft, fine, go. But you're not, we're not going to do this. You're going in the portal and you're playing in the game. If you're going in the portal, you're not playing. And here's why. Because I would try to get as many young guys as I could in the game. Because think about it. It's a meaningless game. You're not going to get fired. It doesn't matter. You get a chance to put young guys or maybe somebody in a different role. You get them to take on more responsibility. Maybe they're a role player. Now all of a sudden they're starting, and then you can see how they can handle it. You can see how they can handle that role. It gives you a chance to play these players in an actual game in a low leverage situation. So if I'm a head coach, I'm going, that's fine. Every one of you can every starter on this team can opt out if you want to, or guys that are leaving. I mean, guys that are planning on coming back, we obviously want them to stay and play. But anybody who's thinking about going into the portal or going to the NFL, just go ahead and go, guys. And we appreciate everything. It wouldn't be one of those things where I'm going, pack your stuff and get out now. I mean, it's just, I'm thinking ahead because you get 10 extra practices that sub or that backup or that role player is now a starter. So, and the reps are different at practice. The practice is different for those starters. The film study is different. I mean, everything is different. When you change roles like that, everything's different. So I would just say, if I was a coach, I would welcome as many players that wanted to leave, so that I could get some of these young guys in and get a look at it and get some tape and some eval on them.
Yeah. So, okay, I just thought of this. So let's segue to the portal, because Auburn, and I know we got Alabama on. I'm not doing this to dog Auburn.
I know it's bad. I hate.
I mean, they've lost 3 receivers. Deuce Knight, the quarterback, the starter quarterback.
Yeah, there's like 25 players. It's totally ridiculous. And look, Auburn players, I'm not taking a shot. We went through this a couple of years ago when Saban left. All the players that left when Saban got in, I mean, in that recruiting class that just said, nope, Saban's not here. I'm going to go see if I can get some money elsewhere because I got that cachet that Nick Saban signed me. He wanted me, but now he's not there. So now I'm going to go and leave. And then all the other players that were there that no longer fit DeBoer's program are into the long-term plan. And you've really seen a real turnover in the Alabama roster. Just as a football fan, I absolutely hate that for you guys because this is not what it was meant for. It was not meant for an entire team or a third of a team to just take off. But of course, it's never used the right way, and some people are out there. Hey, let me just get more money. But Auburn, any Auburn fans out there listening, let me just say this: that if you have guys on your roster that's all they're seeking is money, they're doing you a favor by going ahead and leaving. We went through that 2 years ago, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, Caleb Downs is leaving. Let him go. Who cares?"
And we also had two players better than him.
Yes, I mean
Brown and Hubbard were better than Caleb Downs.
Yes,
no question.
Yeah, and the point is that when people are in these situations, they reveal who they are. When they show you, believe it. And that's when everybody was freaking out when Saban left and players were leaving. I said, let him go. They're like, what do you mean let him go? Let him go. Because all they care about is money. All they care about is the short-term monetary value. They don't care about the value that the University of Alabama and the Alabama's football program has to them in their life. All they care about is money. That's all they want. So let them go get it and let them go elsewhere and let them do whatever they're going to do. And the new coach will come in and he will find players that want to be there and want to be in his program and that are going to help Alabama in the long run. And you will find the same thing too at Auburn because, yes, what I'm about to say, Auburn is a good job. It is a hard job, but it is a good job. You can win at Auburn. You can get good players at Auburn. We have seen that. We've seen Auburn play for a natty and win a natty and play for another natty. So it's not like we're talking about building this thing from the ashes. You got to get the right people in the building, and maybe the fact that you got rid of the head coach that started unmasking all of the other. There's probably other problems in there as well, and you get rid of him, and that starts unmasking all the other problems, and then they can go too, and then you can reset your program, and that might set you back a year or two, but in the long run, you're going to be better for it. So.
Yep, I agree with that. All right, well, a little housekeeping since we're flying blind here. I don't have a way to stop this post, so as soon as I hit the outro, just hit the leave button, and I got to call Scott for this. So a little behind-the-scenes technical difficulties with some Wi-Fi. But, Bob, that'll do it for this week. We got games tomorrow. It's going to be a great next few days. Hopefully the Tide can roll Thursday, but we will see you next time on the 4th and 31 podcast for Coach Bo. I'm the Chad. We will see you next time.